Well, the evidence continues to mount, doesn't it? Not only the psychological effect of abortion, the physical effects of abortion, and we're not done. There's an additional harm to women that has been long ignored. Our next speaker will shed light on research that has to be acknowledged for the sake of women's health. Dr. Angela Lanfranchi is a breast cancer surgeon practicing in New Jersey since 1984. She is a clinical assistant professor of surgery at Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, a fellow of the American College of Surgeons, certified by the American Board of Surgery. Dr. Lanfranchi is surgical co-director of the Breast Cancer Center at the Steeplechase Cancer Center in Somerville, New Jersey. She is co-founder and president of the Breast Cancer Prevention Institute, a nonprofit charitable operation that has its mission to educate lay and professional communities in the methods of risk reduction and prevention of breast cancer. Dr. Lanfranchi, thank you.
I'm going to talk about abortion as a cause of breast cancer. Did you know that in April of 2009, Louise Britton, the chief of the Hormonal and Reproductive Epidemiology branch at the National Cancer Institute, or NCI, wrote that examined risk factors were consistent with the effects of previous studies on younger women, specifically older age, family history of breast cancer, earlier menarche age, induced abortion, and oral contraceptives were associated with an increased risk of breast cancer. She wrote that as a co-author of a published study. In other words, there was a statistically significant 40% increase in the risk of breast cancer, which was consistent with the previously published studies. The previous studies she was referring to were the 48 studies which had been published by 2009, which showed a positive association with abortion, and the 26 which were statistically significant. Statistically significant means that there's a 95% certainty that the result couldn't be due to chance alone. Now, just 3 years later, in 2012, there are 70 published studies examining the risk of induced abortion and breast cancer, of which 55 show a positive correlation and 33 are statistically significant. 3 were published this year, 1 from France and 2 from China, where induced abortion is public policy. This prominent epidemiologist, Louise Britton, who's been with the National Cancer Institute since 1976, was asked by Canadian reporter Gloria Galloway in 2010 about her apparent change in opinion on induced abortion as a risk for breast cancer. You see, Louise had participated in the NCI's 2003 workshop that had concluded that abortion was not a risk. Louise declined the interview with Gloria, and Gloria was referred to the NCI website denying a link. The overwhelming evidence from worldwide epidemiologic studies show that abortion is a cause for breast cancer. In fact, these studies fulfill the same 9 Hill criteria for causality that the U.S. Surgeon General used in linking cigarettes to lung cancer in 1964. Despite 55 public positive studies, perception that abortion is not linked to breast cancer persists, in large part due to the denial of organizations such as the NCI. Maybe an American journalist could get Dr. Britton to explain her apparent change of opinion and set the record straight for American women. In 2007, a Time magazine cover story reported on the ever-increasing incidence of breast cancer worldwide. That same year, actuary Patrick Carroll published his study showing that the greatest predictor of breast cancer in 9 European countries was its abortion rate. Did you know that if none of these studies existed, just knowing the basic, well-documented and accepted risk factors for breast cancer, one could correctly deduce that an induced abortion would increase the risk of breast cancer. It's been known since the 1700s that a woman who gives birth has a lower risk of breast cancer than a woman who remains childless. It's the reason only nuns got breast cancer in the Middle Ages. Most women at that time were giving birth at a young age. If a woman who is pregnant for the first time has an abortion instead of giving birth, she has a higher risk of breast cancer than if she had continued that pregnancy. She has denied herself the risk-reducing effects of a full-term pregnancy. If that same woman remains childless for the rest of her life, she has a higher risk of breast cancer. Or if at a later time she gives birth, for each year she has delayed birth after age 20, she has increased her risk of premenopausal breast cancer by 5% per year. If a woman who has already given birth has an abortion of a subsequent pregnancy, she loses the additional 10% risk reduction of that birth. In addition, induced abortion, as we have just heard, increases the risk of premature birth of subsequent pregnancies. This is because damage to the cervix can occur with the passage of any instruments through it. 2 large meta-analyses of many studies have confirmed abortion as a risk of premature birth. The Institutes of Medicine in 2006 acknowledged induced abortion as an immutable risk for premature birth. And if that premature birth occurs before 32 weeks, as 3% of all premature births do, that woman doubles her risk for breast cancer. The independent risk of induced abortion shown by 55 worldwide studies rests upon the biology of breast maturation and risk reduction through a full-term pregnancy. A woman who is pregnant for the first time has breast tissue composed only of immature and cancer-prone lobules. 75% of her breast tissue is type 1 lobules. 25% are type 2. After birth, 85% of her breast tissue has matured into cancer-resistant lobules. Type 1 lobules are where 85% of all breast cancers start, called ductal cancers. Type 2 lobules is where 15% of all breast cancers start, called lobular cancers. These lobules multiply and double in numbers during the first half of pregnancy. It's not until the 30 to 32nd week of pregnancy that her breast matures with the type 4 lobules which contain early milk. Type 4 lobules do not form cancer. The hormones of pregnancy produced by the child in her womb resulted in her lifelong risk reduction for breast cancer. With the cessation of milk production, type 4 lobules become type 3, with lifelong genetic changes making them resistant to cancers. With birth, she has fewer places for cancers to start and are therefore at a lower risk for breast cancer. An induced abortion leaves her breasts with more places for cancers to start. Women have the right to know these basic facts of their own biology. Women should be made aware of the 55 studies now showing a link between abortion and breast cancer. Women who choose abortion need to realize that they are increased risk for breast cancer so that they will be screened at an appropriate age in the hope that a small and curable cancer can be found should they develop. The incidence of premenopausal in situ breast cancer has gone up 400% since 1975. It's not uncommon any longer to see young mothers in their 30s with breast cancer. Abortion is an avoidable risk. Adoption is a better option for the mother, child, and adoptive parents, a win-win-win situation. In the United States, there have been 3 lawsuits since 2003 that resulted in monetary settlements between abortion providers and plaintiffs who were not advised of the abortion breast cancer link. Expert testimony was given in these cases supporting the link between abortion and breast cancer. Since 1973, there have been over 53 million surgical abortions. In 1996, a meta-analysis of the literature showed an overall 30% increased risk of breast cancer at that time. Based upon the available data, it was calculated that approximately 10% of all cases of breast cancer, or about 20,000 cases per year, are attributable to induced abortion. That figure could be even higher today, as many studies show over a doubling of the risk of breast cancer with abortion. Of the 4 major cancers, only breast cancer incidence has continued to rise higher and higher every year. Women who choose abortion have the right to know this information, and many states have enacted laws mandating this. Women who choose to have an abortion need to be screened at an appropriate age, that should a cancer formed, it will be found at a curable stage. The erroneous impression that it is only junk science or right-wing ideologues that support the link between abortion and breast cancer needs to be changed. Since 1957, hundreds of scientists worldwide have performed studies documenting an independent link between abortion and breast cancer, and they will continue to do so. Our human biology will not allow the truth to be suppressed. There have been 40 years of legalized abortion. Women deserve to know and have the right to know the real impact that abortion has had on their health.
So appreciate that. I should share too that Dr. Lanfranchi has been named the 2012 Castle Connolly Medical Top Doc for Women's Health and Breast Surgery, and congratulations in that feat as well.